Inpatient. Everyone that's in the hospital that needs a cardiology consult will come through either the cardiology group called Carolina Cardiology or through our cardiology teaching service.
And then we have Becky. Is this Becky? Holt. Becky is
third year medical.
Third medical. And then that's Dan. Dan is third year medical.
Yeah, we're all third.
Right, okay. And at the end there's James. So, Dr. Bo, we've got a little bit of a sort of plan thing we'd like to try. I don't know how well it'll work. But we have some prepared questions. And we're going to have Hannah shoot them out and kind of get you guys started and sort of prime the pump a little bit. So hopefully with these questions, we'll cover some of the things that you guys are interested in or would like to learn more about, or as being a resident and also as being a med student. So we'll go with these questions, but anytime you have a question or you want to jump in or ask something else, please feel free to do that. And this is meant to be informal. I don't know, how much Andy has told you guys, but we just want you to, I was telling Jay, we just want you to share, answer questions, provide us with wisdom, insight, anything that you feel that you think would help students that are seriously thinking about going to school. Okay? Anything you guys would like to say before we get started?
I was just if you want us to do I guess they're all from the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, let's do that. Why don't you just say who you are and give us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, where you went to school, where you, just anything that's in you. What makes you an interesting person? What's your claim to fame? I always ask my students if you're
in medical school, we're not interested.
No, med schools don't. Those of you that had me in class, go around. What's your claim to fame? What sets you apart from anybody else? What makes you unique? So that's your interview question right now. What makes you unique? Okay, we'll start with James.
Right, for James, I actually went to Clemson undergrad, and this could be something safe. I'm unique because I'm a computer science undergrad.
My name is Dan. My last name is Apple, so I guess that's something unique about myself. I'm from Michigan, so not at all from South Carolina. I do like the South. I went to Bob Jones for undergrad. And, what else? My favorite color is blue. That's about it.
Hey, I'm Becky. I'm from South Carolina. I was going to say, he's not from South Carolina either. Just a good point. I know a lot of you might be wondering if you're out of state. So I'm the only South Carolinian up here, but I was born in Somerville, South Carolina. I went to Wofford for undergrad, and then went straight from undergrad to USC, and I was a bio major. So I'm about as average a med student as they come, bio major and straight into school. So it's interesting out here. I grew up on a horse farm.
And I'm Andy Bow, third year med peds resident. Went to small undergrad school in Marshall, Pennsylvania, called Furman. I went to Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine med school. Came down here for residency. You want to fire
Thanks,
off?
I'll start you guys off with some basic medical school questions. A lot of these people might be starting to study for the MCAT, so what kind of things did you guys do to prepare for your MCATs?
I took a Kaplan course. I think that was probably the thing to do back then. Just took a summer and studied, followed the Kaplan course completely, and then they do a test at the end. So.
Did you do like an in-classroom course?
Yeah, they had, I think, study books. We met once or twice a week, I think. I can't remember the long one, but yeah, it was very good. It's taught by people who, I think our guy got like a 42 or something crazy. And so those people teach you how to do well and what
I studied at home, and we didn't have as many options as y'all do now. You can schedule, I think, a little more. We had 2 options. And so I did take it twice. My first time around, I didn't study at all because I was busy with other stuff at school, organization and stuff. And then I took my summer and studied, and I just used the book. I didn't use the course. At the time, the advice I was given is if you're good at taking standardized tests, maybe the course would not be the best way to spend your time if you already are kind of familiar with the process. Standardized tests aren't your thing, and the course would probably be a really good idea. I used the book.
Yeah, I took a Kaplan class, kind of like what Amy did, one of those in-class room ones. They're great. The thing about Kaplan, I think it's kind of hit and miss, depending on who you get for your teachers. Some of my teachers were really good, and some of them were just terrible. So I think the real value of taking a course like that is the practice tests, because you get like 4 or 5 of them. Some of them are full length, so by the time you go to take the real thing, it's just like you're taking another practice test. You know exactly what to expect, and you're not really surprised by anything. And that alone, I think, is invaluable. Problem with Kaplan is it's quite pricey. So if you are self-motivated, I think you can just do fine by getting the books or computer programs and doing it on your own. But if you need somebody to kind of hold you accountable like I did, the course is pretty good for that. I took it more than once as well. They said, the first time I took it I did okay, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. It was within the range of getting into medical school, but they said it always looks good if you're in that average range to take it again. Even if you don't do that much better, it shows that you're showing initiative. You're not settling for what would be considered just good enough. So, here I am.
My situation was a little different because I've been out for a couple of years working before I decided I want to go to med school. So I needed to get a review on some of the stuff, and I just got really through that. My big advice for the test would be just to get yourself ready for an 8-hour test today, because it's the longest test I've taken up to that point. It's kind of an endurance thing. You come back from lunch and you have to start writing essays immediately, and answer everything.
I think it's like 5 hours now. It's shorter, right?
It's still like.
It's on computer. It's long. It's a long test, but.
Regardless, Kaplan really helps you for any of those types of programs. They're meant to kind of, it's training for a marathon, so they kind of gear you up for that big test race. That's what all those little mini tests are geared for, so each one goes a little longer and longer. The idea is that by the time you get to the test, you're not so much worried about the test, and you just deal with the information. Let that kind of run.
I would say some advice just for test day. Don't eat a lot of carbs day up. Like, don't take sweets and carbs, so because you'll be exhausted for the afternoon. It's just a bad idea. Like, don't eat sugar that day. And don't study during your lunch break. Take that time, because that's all people, going through. You have no idea what they're going to ask on the test. You're probably not going to catch a few facts as you do that, but the rest will serve you so well in the afternoon. So on test day, take your breaks, don't eat lunch sugar.
If you guys can think back to your interview days, maybe let us know some ways that you prepared for the interview, and also some questions that you guys found really good, beforehand, or a strange question that you were asked.
I think everyone hears horror stories about the, you're walking through the woods and a child collapses on your left and an 88-year-old woman collapses on your right. Who do you save first? That's kind of a brutal one, but I don't think I've ever heard that one, but you hear that kind of service thing around me. For me, the big thing, especially for the osteopathic school, is know your audience and know who you're, know something about the school that you're going to. Look into what type of curriculum they have. Some schools are focusing on systems-based medicine, so they'll teach you cardiovascular, and so you'll do cases, and you'll learn everything about cardiology, you'll do physiology, biochemistry, anatomy for the heart, and then you'll move on to the next. Some schools are kind of like mine was, where you learn biochemistry, anatomy in your first year, and the second year is mostly systems stuff, so you just kind of put everything together. And some schools are all based on clinical problems. So you have a 38-year-old guy who comes in with chest pain. What is your differential diagnosis? And so you learn that, and then so you learn anatomy basically. So it's good to know your audience. And then, for osteopathic schools, our big thing was, why do you want to be a DO? And if you come in, you don't know anything about DO, then you're barking up the wrong tree. So a lot of people try to BS their way through it, and it shows through it. So.
I think, for interviews, our school had an hour lesson on this. We had mock interviews that we could do beforehand. I think that's really helpful because you're just so nervous that just being in that situation once. You do hear horror stories, but in my experience, everybody was really nice during interviews. If you have any weak points that you know what your weak points are in your application, be prepared to explain them. And for me, it was a surprise why I got a B+ in organic chemistry. I think they did that to see how I would handle that question. I was like, wait, I thought that was great. But so even if something seems like I did well, but they may ask you something like that, so just be prepared to answer questions about weak points and make yourself stand out. I think I don't know that I would advise. I wore a red blazer to all my interviews, and I knew somebody on one of the admissions committees who later told me that they referenced me as that girl in the red blazer. So when everybody else was in black suits, everybody knew who they were talking about when they talked about the girl in the red blazer. So if there's something about you that stands out, that they can identify you just in a roundtable discussion, it'll help. Yeah, I did. I did USC, where I go to school now.
One of the things I found very helpful for my interviews was there's a website, it's a Student Doctor Network, SPN. Do you know about it?
Yeah.
Some people are nodding their heads, ask them about it. I don't remember the exact website or the address, but there's something on there talking specifically about interviews, and it's people giving feedback about their interviews at those particular schools. So you can look up and browse a school that you're going to interview at, say from USC or whatever, and then you read about what their interviews, they explain what their interview day was like, because everybody's different. Everybody has a different format of how they go about it. So you read about what to expect, and then they put the three of the questions or whatever they can remember, the most difficult question they were asked, and the most interesting question they were asked. So I went through that and just perused the questions. And I printed a bunch of them off, and I looked at them all, and I actually kind of wrote out, thought about them, wrote them out, and at least at that point I was ready for the questions that they were going to throw. And you don't want to go in there just rattling off like a script, but it was definitely nice to be prepared. One of the questions they'll ask you almost at every school is like, why this school, and why did you apply here? And so you can kind of have a prepared answer for that. I think the hardest question I was asked, I wasn't asked any ethical dilemmas at any of my interviews, which was really nice, even though I was prepared to answer those if they asked me. But I think one was like, first they asked me what's your best quality or whatever, and then so they said, what's your biggest weakness? And I hadn't really thought about that, and I was like, I don't know, what do you say? You don't want to like tell them your worst thing that you've ever done in your life, but at the same time you don't want to appear cocky, like I don't have any weakness, what are you talking about? So, I don't know, it's just, fortunately I wasn't asked anything super ethical, but they can really surprise you with some things, and don't worry about it if they do, just think it through, don't say anything that's going to disqualify you one way or another. And another thing somebody told me is don't give them something that they can keep going off of. Like if you're trying to impress them with one thing you know about the school, and you don't know anything else, and they say, oh, tell me about that, and you get screwed because you don't know anything about it. You're just trying to impress them or whatever. Just be yourself, and don't open any doors that you don't want to go on through already.
I would agree with that. My big thing also would be to have some stuff. They usually do a little bit of downtime in the interview, asking questions that you may have, or there's knowledge you need to see where it goes. So I'd have something that you could ask them about. I mean, it's not something obvious that you could probably find and throw your research, but just something to kind of get the ball rolling, or point back to something on your application that they may not have touched on, which is important or strong. If you can get pretty awkward if you don't have something, at least a fallback that can get you 5 minutes or so with an interview time, because you're just sitting there. Hey. So that'd be good. And in terms of the strengths and weaknesses, I found out was a pretty common question. To me, it seems kind of sad that weakness is something that's really a strength.